everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Happiness Matters, the show with me, Beanie Man, and Mo the service dog, who today I locked out of the office because there's too many people walking by and he's barking too much. So he's too much of an interruption, but he can listen through the door. Anyway, today I have a new friend here with me, Tara Hall, and she hails from the East Coast. And we met, how did we meet? Through Angel Tussie, I believe.
Yeah, I don't even remember because we just belong to so many communities,
I know. But so we're connected through Facebook, not networking, well, kind of networking in a sense, but through Facebook. And it's really cool because you can make really good connections through Facebook as well. So anyway, so thank you, Tara, for being on the show today, for sharing your wisdom. And we're talking about success today. I like success.
Yes, everyone likes success.
I know. So share a little bit about you. It's like, who are you? What brought you to where you are today?
Well, who I am. So I'm Tara Hall. And as you said, I'm on the East Coast. I'm down here in Connecticut. And I am a mom, a wife, and sister, and all the other titles that women carry these days.
Right.
And I actually am an entrepreneur as well. And I started my business earlier this year, which is as a, it's called, my company name is, the acronym is THIS, which stands for Tara Hall. And what I do as a certified Canfield Success Principles trainer is I'm a training and development company. And I spend my time doing staff engagement, team development, and that's really my love. I love to train. I love to get face-to-face with people, and I like to see the transformation happen in the room because, to me, you can learn online. You can get so many trainings and webinars, but there's nothing like being in that room. Something happens when you're in the room. Yes.
Mm-hmm. And the connection and it's so different. And I apologize, guys. We have a little technical difficulties. There's some internet issues, but that's okay. No, but I mean, really being in the room with the people, you can feel the energy. It's just it's a total different feel.
Yes.
Than doing it online. And I mean, I love the online stuff because I can hop on and off at my leisure, which is great. But being in the room with the people and the energy and seeing everybody have those light bulb moments, and the ahas, there's nothing like it. You're absolutely right.
Yes, yes. So for me, so what I do and what kind of brought me here was really my own journey to success when I went to a conference and I had an experience, nothing like, again, like being in the room and having an experience that really just kind of awakened the inside of me to say, wait a minute, you have the degrees, you have the job, you have the family, you have the cars, you have these things, but there's still something missing. And through, a transformative experience and activities, I was able to kind of awaken, what was on the inside. And I just knew that I started thinking about the skills that I had. And one of them was training and being in an environment where, like you said, seeing people have those aha moments right before you, and you see where the learning and the connection just kind of happens right there. And I love that. I love that.
I mean, it makes my heart sing. And it's like, it lights me up. I get it.
So I was looking at the skills that I've acquired over the years through my trainings, through my education. And I started taking inventory of things that I said, there are some things that you really do well. There are some high points here that you really should nurture more of. And that's kind of how my journey here is, because once I decided to declare my business and to become more of living inside out, I decided that it was time for me to sharpen my skills in another part of my life so that I could be that same spark that person at the conference that I went to, I can be that same spark for someone else and to help them kind of unlock what's inside of them. And that's kind of what began my success journey and me becoming a certified Canfield Success Principles trainer, everything rooted in success principles.
Nice. And I love that. And everybody defines success differently. For some people, success is just having the happy family. For others, success is having $1 gazillion. For others, success is just honing a skill and becoming maybe a better artist or
Right.
something, and it's just like there's no right or wrong.
Absolutely.
It's whatever we define, right?
Yes, yes. And to me, that's exactly how I define success. And when I have workshops and I conference with people, we talk about that definition and what do they define as success? Because as you said, everyone has a different definition of it. And I love to hear the different definitions that people have, because then that's our starting point.
Hmm.
And as you said, to me, success is holistic. So it's this 360-degree experience that you can have in different domains of your life. And not that you will be 100% at all of those domains, but that one domain that you've been trying to conquer forever, that might be the one that you say, I've got it. Like I hit my success point, with that
Right.
particular area. So I love I just love to hear people's different definitions of success, because that's a great starting point for me.
Oh, it absolutely is. And I tell people too, it's like success is not always in your face. It's not always those big things that you go after. It's like we have little successes, and high points each and every day. But we tend
Absolutely.
to overlook them because we're so conditioned to go for the big package with the bow on it. And it's like, and if it doesn't come that way, we're disappointed, we're beating ourselves up. And we're also not looking at the little accomplishments along the way. And it's like, for me, what I do every night before I go to sleep, if I go through, it's like, so what was a success for me today?
Hmm.
And sometimes for me, it really is, I did not trip and fall today. you know it can
Right.
be something as simple as that, but I celebrate
Absolutely.
that.
Right, right. And you just made me think of something when you said celebrating uh, the small pieces, right? Because we don't have to learn in such big volume.
Mhm.
It could be very small. And I know gratitude is a piece of, for me, celebrating my success and what I define as success. And if I can show, because it stays near my computer here, but this is actually a jar that I created at the
Oh, I like
beginning
that.
of the new year, and I call it. It says 2019, and it says Conquer, because I gave my jar a name, and it's all stickies in here, and I've written all of the different things that I've had that I define as my wins in that jar, of things that I accomplished, moments where I stepped out of my comfort zone, moments when I was afraid and I did anyway, and things that I just began to practice and to, as I said, for me to kind of celebrate my own small victories. So I wanted to chronicle my year, because I knew 2019 was definitely going to be very different for me, and I declared that at the beginning of the year. So I can't wait. This will be opened at the end of the
Nice.
year, and I'll get a chance to kind of reflect on because I'm sure I don't even recall all the things that are in that jar.
Well,
But
and
I
we can't because it's just so much. But if we're just, and I call it the hamster wheel, if we're just running on the hamster wheel, and just reacting to things that are coming our way, we miss everything
right,
because we're so focused on not falling off that hamster wheel, which the hamster wheel gets us nowhere, right? So we have to really focus and be
right,
aware and pay attention, and sometimes it's just a little pebble, but that little pebble can turn into that big thing that we were hoping to accomplish.
yes.
And if we would have missed that pebble, that would not have happened. That's how I look at it.
Right. I agree with you. I agree with you. And that's actually one of my success tips that I'd like to share with people,
Oh,
is to really track your small wins, and track them so that, like you said, you can look at where you were at point A. And say if you set a goal, I tend to set my goals in 90-day increments.
mm-hmm.
So that's how I like to break up my year, by the quarter. So then I can track and look at, okay, you had some lofty goals. Maybe they didn't happen in the the first 30 days, but they happened in the next 30 days. And I can be fluid and flexible with the goals that I set. But my bigger goal is to make sure that I've accomplished it in that first quarter or whatever quarter I set it in.
Mhm.
So as I said before, that's kind of one of my tips, is to make sure that you are doing things to track your progress, because that will help you see at the end of that, the end of that time frame that you established. You could say, wow, I did it. Like all this time, I really didn't feel like I was making progress. But then you look and you're like, wow, I'm done. I did it.
Right. No, absolutely. And the thing too is like, I like what you said is like breaking it down. It's like, you cannot eat a whole elephant in one swoosh. Okay. I'm not saying eat an elephant, guys. Just saying. Anyway, but you do it little by little, bite by bite. It's like, break it down into bite-sized pieces. But what it does is it keeps you focused. It keeps you going in that direction that you want to go in.
Right.
And what I found is a lot of times I reach what I want to reach way faster than I anticipated. And it's like,
yeah, I would scream, but I wouldn't want to offend your listeners.
Our ears, thanks.
Yeah, because that's one of the things, like, when you achieve that small victory, you should celebrate yourself after that. It might just be dancing around the kitchen with some music. It might be blaring the music in your car. It might just be, yelling out that, hey, I did it, I got it. But
do
the
something.
biggest thing is celebrating it.
Yeah, and acknowledge it. And don't just shove it under the rug like it's nothing. It's something. It's big. So, oh, you froze. Yeah. There you are.
We have our own little freeze frame thing going here, listeners and viewers, but that's not going to deter us, because as my daughter says, we're going to conquer this regardless of whatever happens. So we're still here.
Got this. We just keep on going.
And one of the other tips that I want to share as part of what I do in training is creating what they call a victory log. So it's sort of another version of the, writing down your wins, but it's writing them out more so that you can visually see it. Like, mine is in a jar. That's kind of my, that's something separate that I've done. But I've also created what they call a victory log, so that you can highlight all the things that you've done. And I challenged a few people some time ago, because they were like, well, I challenged them to write 100 victories. And they were, there's no way I can write 100 victories. I haven't had that many successes. So I said, well, why don't you think about it this way? Why don't you think about, from the time, let's say 5, maybe 10 years old, right? 5 years old to 10 years old. What kind of things did you learn to do between that time frame in your life? Then,
ride a bicycle without training wheels.
Right? Absolutely, right? You learned how you probably learned to do some other things, and you were more independent, in that age range. You went to school for the first time, you went to kindergarten, like, you did these things without your mom or your dad there. So what I like to challenge people to do is to go back a little bit and think about when different parts of their life, because if I say just write down 100 victories or successes you've had,
it's overwhelming.
Exactly, it's overwhelming. So again, going back to what you said of breaking it down. So let's break it down by your age. Let's go from 5 to 10. Let's get into those teenage years. Let's get into those young adult years, and then up to where you are now. So, you could span it anywhere between 7-year blocks of time. And I'm more apt to be able to succeed at, writing out 100 successes or victories in your victory log, because now it doesn't feel as overwhelming.
Right. And that's the same with goal setting. I mean, if you break it down into small pieces or, time frames, now it's like, oh, I can do this. And what's really cool is too, once you open up that gate, it comes flooding.
Yes.
Once you open that and you allow yourself, and yes, you have permission, once you allow yourself and you open that door, and it's like everything that's in there, it was waiting to come out. and to be celebrated. And now it's like gushing out. At least that's what happens for me and a lot of my clients, you know. It's like
Yeah.
once they start, it's like, oh my gosh. And I love it when they come and say, oh my gosh, Beanie, I didn't think I could think of anything. And look at this, I have like 3 pages.
Yes, yes. And I like what you said, because that's another tip in there that you snuck in there. And I want to
I'm so
just,
sneaky.
you're so sneaky with the tips, you know? And I want to highlight one, because that's one in there, which is to give yourself permission.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of times we're not so apt. We are so hard on ourselves, you know, more than we need to be. We can be so rough on ourselves that we don't give ourselves permission.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just take that back to the experience I had at a conference back in 2017. It was like you said, it was giving myself permission to be in the moment of those activities, to be in the moment of sharing and releasing the ideas and thoughts that I had. And then the flood opened.
Yeah.
The floodgate opened, and the creativity started flowing, the ideas started flowing, the emotions started flowing, because let's be clear here. Let's be clear. Transformational work and coaching and training, it comes with work. It comes with work. So
What?
it's not all rosy, right? It's not
I
all
mean, we have
rosy.
to put effort into it?
Yeah, imagine that, right?
What a notion.
Right. And we know that as coaches, that when we experience things, that's the same experience our clients and our, you know, the people we work with are going to have as well. So
Right.
giving ourselves permission. I just wanted to highlight that one, because you did sneak it in there, but I just want to make sure we talk about that one,
It
because
happens a lot on the show.
that's a big one. That's a big one.
Well, I mean, and I know it is, because for the longest time I didn't feel like I'm allowed, or I'm not worthy, or I don't deserve, or any of these things, which is, it's a limiting belief. And that's exactly what it is. It's limiting.
Yeah.
And it's a belief, and you can change your belief at any time. You know, you just have to work on it, but first you have to be aware of it.
Yes.
You know, and the other thing I tell people too, and when I say that, they look at me like, oh. So the way we talk to us, because you talked about this briefly, that's, we're so hard on ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we beat ourselves up and all of those things. So my question to everybody is, would you be offended if somebody talked to you the same way you talk to yourself? Think about that.
Yeah.
I know I would be at sometimes. It's like, whoa. So don't talk to yourself like that. Treat yourself with kindness, just like you want to be treated by other people, you know, and hopefully you treat other people with kindness. Treat yourself the same way.
Yeah.
Because it's huge. It's huge.
Yeah.
And it's okay if I mean, we all screw up. Please, we're humans. But the key is like, don't dwell on that. Acknowledge it, take the lesson from it, and move on. Don't stay there.
Right. And that's part of the work. That's part of the work, because we've been so conditioned since we were very young to have this certain kind of thought process of, you're supposed to, you know, get the 9 to 5, work this type of job, get these kind of benefits. And the list could go on and on. What ends up happening is we end up succumbing, you know, to their norm of others and what society expects of us. And in that process, we can lose a lot of our own identity of who we are. We were growing up, because we get stifled by others' perceptions of us, or others' belief systems of us. And we lose a little, we begin to chip away more at who we are. So we then end up, like you said, with all these limitations, versus, you know, when you're very young, you have all these possibilities. You have great imagination. You have, you know, you can conquer the world. You know, all the things you want to do when you're young. And, you know, probably a very small percentage of people actually become the person that they, you know, some people know very early, like they're young, I want to be an artist, or I want to be a nurse. And they're just very clear about their purpose and their intentions.
But that's far and few between.
Yeah, it's a very small percentage of people. And what I've been learning and observing with entrepreneurs, especially, that there's so much work that has to be undone.
Yes.
Before
those limiting beliefs.
Yeah, before there's actual forward progress, because you're spending some time going back and uh, reverse engineering, some of those
Right.
old habits and those old belief systems, and you have to replace that with something else. And that's where all the other things come into play, possibly a coach, but also thinking about who's in your circle, um, you know, motivational tapes, inspirational tapes, or individuals that you might follow to really reprogram your brain. And
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of that work. I listen to paraliminals. I listen to a lot of meditations when I go to sleep, so that when I'm rested and I'm waking up in the morning, I feel very good. I feel well rested, and I have a different thought process. That's just
Yeah,
me.
it
It's
it
just
it
little
it,
things
it
that I
changes, and
do.
it disrupts. That's a hard word to say for me, apparently. Disrupts the disrupts the pattern,
Yes.
because we're so um conditioned to do certain things a certain way.
Hmm.
And it's like, well, my what makes me shudder every time is like, well, we've always done it this way. Well, that's great. Try it this way.
Yeah.
And the example I use, and it's what I tell my clients too, to disrupt that pattern and get them out of this, well, this is hard, or we've always done it this way.
Mhm.
We always get dressed in a certain way. We put the shirt on the same way, we put the jacket on the same way, we put our pants on the same way every single time. We don't even think about it anymore. So I challenge my clients to pay attention and then start with the other arm first, start with the other leg first. It's awkward as all can be at first, but the more you do it, now that becomes your new norm. And it's the same with starting other habits, thinking patterns and all of that. But you have to have that awareness at first that you are doing that, or that you're having these thoughts, that those are certain things that we're saying all the time. Like,
Right.
a lot of people always say, like, oh my God, I'm so stupid. Why would you say you're stupid? Because what you think about, you bring about. Don't say you're stupid.
Right. Right.
I changed it to, boy, I'm really challenged today.
I like that. I like that. I think I'd probably
You know,
said that out loud too.
right. Or I go like, man, the struggle is real right now.
Yes.
But never put yourself down, because that you keep repeating that, and you keep repeating that and repeating that, and it becomes reality. That's the key here.
Hmm.
So it's like, once we're aware of what we're thinking and what we're saying on a regular basis and what we let in, that shapes us. And the best way to break that, start with a different arm or a different leg when you get dressed, because now you're aware. You cannot unsee that, unthink that anymore.
Right. Disrupt the soil, right? That's it.
Yes.
You've got to pattern interrupt. That's what I call it. You
Yep.
have to pattern interrupt in order. And I heard a lady, a friend of mine say, do you ever stop to think about what you're thinking about?
No, that's good.
Mm.
Like, huh?
Yeah. Like, let me say that one again. And it goes back to what you were saying about that chatter, though, because if you say something negative about yourself, then, like you said, that's what you'll focus on, and the brain will respond.
Hmm.
It doesn't know, and you know this, and I'm sure a lot of viewers know that the brain doesn't know the difference. If you tell it something positive
Nope,
or
it
you
just
tell it
is.
something negative, it'll just believe that's what it is. It'll believe
Hmm.
it to be true. So why not speak positively
Right.
about who you are and what your purpose is in the world, and begin to chip away at that negative pattern and do things that are going to support where you're going, like your focus. What are those great things you want for yourself?
Hmm. No, absolutely. It's like, go get off autopilot. That's what I tell my people. Get off that autopilot. Because I mean, and it's so funny too, when I talk with people and I share, what I do and everything, and then they're saying, it's like, yeah, well, I could never do that. Well, right there, that's one of your limiting beliefs. And I get this, whoa, I didn't even realize. And then I laugh, and well, I don't laugh at them, I laugh with them. But it's like, but that right there is that autopilot I'm talking about. We're
Yes.
not even aware of what we're saying and what we're thinking,
And
because we're so conditioned, and it's just, it's one of those habits. but now you're aware, so you can start paying more attention to it. It makes a big
Yes,
difference.
it does, and that's actually another tip that I'll leave with your viewers as well is the power of language. And one of the phrases that sentence, or the word you said in that sentence rather, is try. Dropping words like that out of your vocabulary,
Yes.
because trying, just listen to the way it sounds, like it doesn't even have any momentum behind it. So thinking about the words that you use and the power of the words that you use. You know, sometimes people say, oh, I have to go do this. Well,
You
you
get
don't
to.
you don't have to do anything. You can choose to do it. You could choose to do it, or maybe you do have to do it. Like we all have to pay taxes, otherwise we know this
Right.
as if we don't. Now I could choose to, and if I choose to pay them, I'm probably gonna I'm leaving myself like, either way, I'm going to have an unintended outcome of whether I choose to pay them on time or I choose to pay them late.
Right.
Or I say, no, I have to pay them and I have to pay them on time. So just thinking about the words and the power of your language, and whether you set yourself up for choice or you put yourself in a box and think everything you do. Everyone has choice.
Right.
And it's how you use that choice for your benefit.
Absolutely. And for me, the word try is a cop out. If we say try, we're just making an excuse why we're not doing it. But it's not really an excuse. It's a
Yes,
cop out.
I
You
would
know.
agree.
So instead of trying, say I try this, I try that. Say I'm working on it, or say I'm not working on it. Be honest. I mean, that's really be honest, because it's not just that you're lying to the other person. Most of all, you're lying to yourself. And how stupid is that? I'm sorry, guys, but that's no, because you know the truth. So don't use the word try. Say you're working on it, or you say like, you know
Right.
what, doesn't interest me. I'm not doing it. It's that. And then the other thing too was, and I'm having a brain cramp right now because that happens. Try. And what was the other one we talked about? Come back. Oh, have to. To have to. Instead
Right.
of saying I have to, oh, I have to go to work, oh, I have to pay my bills, oh, I have to pay my taxes. Say I get to.
Yes.
You get to pay your taxes and be excited about it, because it means you have the money to pay them. Okay.
Absolutely.
And because the taxes, I mean, I don't like paying taxes.
Who does?
Who does? But what me paying the taxes does is it gives me a better road. It gives me a better this and a better that, and it helps overall. So I'm not looking at it as a chore anymore. Now I'm looking at it, well, I get to, because I can. And I tell you what, guys, I cannot wait to get in the highest tax bracket there is. Cannot wait.
You're speaking abundance language.
Absolutely. Well, there's enough for everybody, but I cannot wait to get into that highest bracket there is and happily pay my taxes, because I get to. So, and that really makes a difference. I mean, just say it for yourself. I have to go to work. And now say, I get to go to work.
Yeah, I get to go to work to help fund my dreams and to
Right.
fund things
And
that I'm
put
working
food on
for.
your table, put clothes on your back, take care of your family. You get to do that. It's not that you have to do that. You get to, and I understand. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that are stuck in a job they're not happy at.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you can change the way you think about that too. Find the positive there. Do you like the coworkers there? And if nothing else, it helps you pay your bills, and it helps you keep a roof over your head, and it helps you keep what you have. So that's a positive. Focus on that versus the, oh my gosh, I hate this and I hate that and blah, 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 blah. That doesn't help you, and in the meantime, figure out what lights you up, what excites you, and then
Mm-hmm.
go after that, because you can make money these days with pretty much anything.
Sure can.
But you have to put in the effort. There's that ugly E word again, effort
That's that work. That's
and
that work again.
work. No, but I mean, seriously. And and then just stick it out at that job until you can jump ship and go follow your heart and follow your dream and do what you really want to do, what excites you. And you have that option. It is your choice. It's like we all have a choice, and we all make the choice right now. Right now is the perfect time to, follow your heart, follow your dream, wake up, be aware, and pay attention right now. It is so exciting. It excites me. Can you tell it excites me?
Yes, I can.
Because the power is, we have all the power within us.
We do.
And we're the captain of our own ship. We're the author of our story. If we don't like the story, rewrite it, change it. It is so cool.
It is. And that's the power of going to places where you, as we just said, doing something different and stepping outside of your norm. And it takes going to events, it takes going to things in your own community, networking events, things that are free, things that you might pay for, things you might invest in. But there's a whole big world out there. And if you're if you're conditioned to just stay in the box, then you won't get challenged to think differently, to want to do things differently. And when I speak and when I share my story with people that I meet with, that I was stuck in my own life. I got out of being stuck, and it took mentors, and these are mentors who are close to me, people virtually. Like, there's so many resources available out there that you can utilize to really just kind of help get started. And then depending on how fast you're running, right? Depending on how fast you're running and how quickly you learn and get it and move, you might need to make another investment later with someone who will take you even further. Right. But for the most part, there are resources available to people, but some people do work better when they have that one-on-one, because they need that accountability. And that's another tip I just want to share with your listeners is, as you're setting goals and you're doing things to improve yourself, have a tribe around you, have accountability partners around you, so that people hold you accountable. I think about, as kids, right? When we're younger, our parents were always on us, right? And they were always holding us accountable to our behavior, to things we did in school, chores at home. And once we become an adult, we really don't have anyone holding us accountable anymore, because, we're adults. We know it all. We know what we need to do. You don't need to tell me. I know. Right? But the reality is, when you're goal setting and you see yourself in the future doing things that are very future focused and very future oriented, you would benefit greatly from having greater accountability around you, because now you're in a different circle. You're in a different circle of people. You're putting yourself in a different circle of expectations for yourself. So having accountability, I have 3 accountability partners, and it's made a huge difference. Made a huge difference for me. And I happened to meet these ladies at the conference. So nice. So again, just the power of stepping outside of your norm and being open-minded.
Definitely. But I mean, it really makes a difference to have people by your side, and don't be afraid to ask for help. Right. It doesn't mean you're weak. To me, if somebody asks for help, that shows strength to me, because I know it's not easy for most people to ask for help, and it's not weakness. You'd be foolish not to ask for help, because it's like, know your limitations. And that's me personally. Okay. When people say, it's like, oh, strengthen your weaknesses. No, hire your weakness. Build on your strength.
Right.
That's me.
Yeah.
And it's like, and if you can't afford, barter. You can barter with people. But there has to be an energy exchange. Okay. Yeah. There has to be some sort of energy, whether it's service for money or service for service, it doesn't matter. But there has to be some energy exchange where everybody wins. You cannot just go take. Or right. give. That doesn't work either. There has to be an energy exchange. So you can build a team, you can build your empire just by bartering in the beginning.
Yes.
And there's nothing wrong with that. There's
And,
absolutely nothing wrong with that.
and now I agree.
Ask for help.
Yes. And I, one thing I would add with that, with what you shared about asking for help, and there are certainly some, and I could share from my experience, but there are certainly cultural implications as well about how you're viewed when you ask for help. And you kind of hit on it when you shared that some people will see it as a sign of weakness to ask for help. And some of that is some conditioning and how we're raised culturally and how that's viewed. So it might not be as easy for some to ask for help. And even if you start out very small and the request is really little, it's just a muscle you have to practice, because if you don't practice that muscle, you can't build it, right? Then you get atrophy.
Right.
So it takes time, and I'll put my hand up first that certainly was not something that was very easy for me to do.
Hey, right there
um,
with you, both up.
yeah, and so for me, being able to practice that muscle of asking for help, and it might be something that I actually really didn't need help with, but it was something small that I chose to ask for help with so that I could just get practice
Hmm.
asking.
No, and I like that. I really get that. It's like, ask for help, start small.
Yeah.
Start small. And it's okay. It's okay. Nobody expects you to wolf down that whole elephant in one swoosh.
Yeah,
No.
back to that elephant.
I like the elephant thing because it's the biggest animal I can think of that's still alive. And everybody gets it,
Yes, yes,
and I get it too. It's like, well, I wouldn't want to eat an elephant. I said, well, me either. But, for the visual people,
yes.
you cannot wolf down. I mean, open your mouth and shove a whole elephant in. I mean, a real big elephant, not the
Really,
little toy elephants. That's not what I'm
right.
talking about. I'm talking a real live big elephant, you know, and it's just little by little.
And especially as an entrepreneur and being in business, it's one of those muscles that y- you will need to work on anyway, because as
Right.
you said, sometimes you're looking to barter services, or you're looking to maybe to purchase services, but either way, or you're looking for clients. And it's important that you begin to get comfortable asking,
Hmm.
because if you are looking to grow your business, you do need to partner with, you need to collaborate, you need to have joint ventures, and these of your normal comfort place, and to ask for, hey, you're asking for someone to buy your service in a you're making sales, like you're asking of things that you probably haven't had to in before, or in
Right.
that kind of way. So it's just part of the equation of building what you identify as your success plan, because I think success plans are really individualized. And we said
Very
at the
much
top
so.
of the conversation that however it's defined by that person, you know, their success plan may look different.
Hmm. And on that note too, because it's like, I know a lot of people have problems receiving because not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough, whatever.
Mm,
You are deserving, you are worth it, and you are amazing. So be open to receive and accept what you receive. Because if you're closed up to that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You can be the best of everything. But if you're not open to receive, you're not going to receive.
right,
So, and a lot has to do with, again, those limiting beliefs, that I don't deserve and I'm not good enough.
right.
Yeah, you do deserve, and yes, you are good enough. And yes. And by the way, guys, since we're on the topic of everything, there is enough of everything for everybody out there. There's a wealth of abundance. There's not like, oh, and I get there's a lot of networking too. People is
Yeah.
like, well, you're a coach and I'm a coach and I can't talk to you because you'll be stealing my clients. What? No, there's
No.
enough for everybody. If you have a bazillion clients in the room, well, there's a gazillion people, right? And it's
Right.
like, not everybody's a fit for me. I'm not a fit for everybody. I get that, and that's okay, because I know the right people will come, and the right
Right.
people are coming.
That's right.
You know,
People,
so it's like,
people
get out of that scarcity mindset, that thinking that there isn't enough. I know that's what they use in sales tactics, and, you know, and what you hear on TV and what you hear in the news and everywhere. There's enough for everybody. Everything you want already exists,
yes,
you know, and it's coming, but you have to be open to receive, and you have to understand you deserve, and just work towards it, put the effort in, and be ready for it, be open to receive.
yeah.
And it took me a while to get that,
Hmm.
but now I'm like, oh yeah, bring it.
And people will self-select. That's just the reality. Like you said,
Exactly.
people that I may want to work with, when we're doing our strategy call and I'm asking questions, I might realize that, and I did a two-way process. So although this is a two-way process, so I'm I'm assessing whether this is a good fit for me, and I want you to assess whether this is a good fit for you, because you want a
Harmony.
relationship. Yeah, you want that harmony, you want that piece of it. It's like a puzzle. You want it to
Hmm.
fit, and you want it to fit well, because for the individual working with someone, our goal is to make sure that they get the outcome and the breakthrough and the goal that they want. That's the
Exactly.
end result. We want to see that forward movement for them, and you have to know that you have the right fit to make it happen. And I don't want to feel like this is working well for them, because my goal is that they're left satisfied, that they got the value
Well, and
that they
that's
were
how it
hoping
should
for.
be. You know,
Absolutely.
that's how it should be in any work relationship or any relationship. You know, there has to be that harmony, you know, to where that, yes, this is a good fit, and yay. I mean, you wouldn't want to be with a partner that everything is just off. I mean,
Right.
seriously. And whether it's in a romantic relationship or in a business relationship or something, you want to make sure there's that smoothness that's going, and you know, and again, that give and take, and not just, you know, one always gives and the other one always takes. No, it has to
Right.
be smooth, and it has to be harmonious.
And I wanted to share something that you brought up about, that scarcity mindset. And a friend of mine, when he said this, I was like, wow, this just has always stuck with me. As he said, abundance is like the sky. No matter where you are, everyone can see it, and everyone has access to it.
Oh, I
And
like that.
that's real true abundance, because it is there for the taking for all of us. It's just a matter of, what do we want? Are we clear about what we want to get
Hmm.
it? But it's there for everyone. And I'm looking over here because I'm looking out the window. But when he said that, I just will never forget that, because I thought it was just a beautiful visual of
Oh
thinking
yeah.
about thinking about abundance in such a big way, that um, it's there for everyone, and it's up to you, right choice again, about whether you want to take the steps and do the work, put in that word, that effort to get it.
I love that. I love that. That was awesome. Tara, thank you so much for sharing all the awesomeness and sharing you. And I'm so glad we're connected. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you got a ton of good nuggets out of this one too. And hey, you know what? Yeah, I really got nothing to add on here. So thank you all for watching. I've,
Well,
I've
thank
really
you.
done. I'm trying to think of something profound, but yeah, no. But guys, thank you again so much for watching. Thank you, Tara, for being on the show. And as
Thank
always,
you.
be happy, be kind, be loved. Till next time. Bye.